Hey guys, what's up? So, if you're watching this video, you're starting to watch my year-end countdown list. Now, just before you freak out and say you look a bit different or the background looks a bit different or whatever, I filmed these sometime a couple weeks before Thanksgiving, so stuff's going to look a little bit different. My face, the background, everything. And also, I apologize for some of the camera shots and some of the videos. They're not the best. You'll see why I kind of cut one of the vinyls in half on the camera during those shots, so I apologize for that. But anyway, just wanted to give you those kind of heads up that these were recorded weeks beforehand, so I had time to edit them and go over them. But yeah, without further ado, let's just enjoy this year-end list video. Hey guys, what's up? I gave you the worst, now it's time to give you the best, only this time there's a twist. I gave you the 10 worst songs in 2018 with 5 honorable mentions. Today, I'm going to give you 20 of the best songs in the year 2018, in my opinion, with 5 honorable mentions. So basically, we're going to go through 25 songs, and I'm just going to give you why I think they're some of the best of the year. So, yeah, just remember this is my personal opinion. You may not agree with me on some songs, but these songs just really spoke to me, stuck with me, or just plain out just were jams to me, got stuck in my head, and I keep playing them over and over and over again. So, without further ado, let's waste no time and get the kickoff started. The countdown started with number 20. People say this record for Chvrches was a big step in a different direction, which I didn't really get that much. Their last 2 albums have been similar. That maybe if you would have said something like, oh, well, you know, their first album to their second album was a difference, I could see that. But from their second album to their third album, not really much of a difference other than they used a producer and stuff like that. But Graffiti kicks off the third studio album by Chvrches, Love Is Dead. And it's a powerful one. I think it comes in with some great synths. And Lauren Mayberry's vocals are some of the better ones that she's had. That chorus just comes in and hits. It's a song about basically you thought you had someone that you loved and cared about, but in the end they let you down, and now you're left wondering why, what happened, as this whole album would basically be about that. My nose itches, Jesus. And yeah, this song's at number 20 because I don't think it was the best off the album, but it was definitely top 3 of the 13 songs on that album, and I still listen to it and go back to it because it's just a banger that ended up becoming a single, which I was happy about that too. Didn't like the album, but I gotta say this song was fine. High Hopes, Panic at the Disco off of their album Pray for the Wicked. You know, I did like Say Amen Saturday Night and this song as singles for the new album, but sad the album itself couldn't be great. But yeah, I just like the whole positivity thing about this, you know, so especially before you get to there, the pre-chorus is like, my mama said, don't give up, you know, you'll get there, and it's just, I think, a pretty decent message, one that Brendon Urie easily sends. I do like the little beat, and of course his vocals are just, at least that's one thing I could say. When the album's bad, at least his vocals still shine. There's really never been one moment in a Panic at the Disco category where I'm like, Brendon Urie's vocals have just been off. There's never been one time that I have thought that. His vocals are always on point, and this is one of those songs where they do shine. And the fact that this song has become bigger than Say Amen or bigger than Hey Look Ma, I Made It, I'm kind of grateful because I think this is the best, or if not one of the best songs off of the album. Once again, shout out to Crash Thompson, the rock critic, for reviewing the Estrons debut album, or else I would have never known who they were. After watching his review on them and praising the album, I was like, I gotta check this band out. This Welsh band that seems to mix indie rock with pop punk and some sort of garage rock. And it intrigued me, and this song kicks off their debut album. Lilac is a short 2.5-minute track that does its job. I mean, it's full of, I think, easy sing-along and catchy choruses. I mean, that's what Estrons basically bases their category they have so far off of. I mean, a majority of that album, I gave it a perfect score because a majority of that album, pretty much all that album, you get the catchy, memorable choruses, and you get those great sing-along moments that just leave you remembering. And this is one of those songs, and if you like, and once again, if you like a female-fronted band, this is definitely one to go to, because even though I hope they become a big thing, I don't ever see them popping into the mainstream. But if you want to see this underground band that's really good, this is one I recommend, and this would be the first song that I would take you to. Actually, no. Either Glasgow Kisses or Strobe Lights would be the first one I'd take you to, but this would definitely be one of the first that would be on my mind when I would tell you to go check the band out. It's great. So in the worst songs of 2018, I gave you a movie soundtrack song that wasn't so good with the Imagine Dragons Zero. Eminem with Venom, there's just that album, it fits the movie, and it's on the album, it finishes off Kamikaze. I just like the whole, that whole beat is great, Eminem's fierce rapping's cool, and it's just one of those things where you're like, wow, this is really good. Although the chorus may be a little, that whole Venom thing, but hey, I still sing along to it. And like I said, Eminem's raps on that thing are just fantastic. I can't say enough about it. This is definitely one movie themes that's going on a soundtrack that I would definitely keep listening to. Probably will, and then eventually I'll see Venom. It's probably out of theaters by now and getting ready to be put on DVD, but eventually I'll see Venom. But for now, this is the only thing I've heard that's going to even remotely be in the movie, and I like it.
And you're standing on the edge, face up, 'cause you're a natural. I've been in harder stone. You gotta be so cold to make it in this world. Yeah, you're a natural. Living your...
I contemplated putting this thing on here because although I do like the song, I've heard it thousands of times already, thanks to the radio playing it. Natural by the Imagine Dragons kicks off their 4th studio album. A lot of these are kickoffs, it's weird. And it's probably the best song on that album. Origins was a highly disappointing album. It was not enjoyable as their first 3. It was not as enjoyable as Evolve, in my opinion. It just seemed like they didn't change and didn't do anything. Even though Natural, like I said, sounds like a carbon copy of like Radioactive or Believer, I felt it. And then all of a sudden I knew the song was going to eventually not be one of my favorites because now it's being used for the college football theme soundtrack. And if you know, I'm a sports guy. I like watching football. I like watching college football. So, I do that. But this is still on here because it is a good song, and I'm not going to deny that it isn't. And beforehand, it was one of my favorites of the year. It was in the top 5. Now, I have to put it lower, but that's just because I've heard it 100 times already, and I haven't listened to it other than when I went to listen to the Imagine Dragons' new album. I didn't really go back and listen to it, so that's why it's this low, but I can't deny it's a good song. One I didn't hear on the radio that much, but still heard. Thought Contagion off of Muse's new album Simulation Theory. Now, if you saw my review for that, I was highly surprised and was, this was definitely one where it's like I could hear the change, but then you get to the chorus, it's like, okay, now this is the Muse I know. And, when I went into the album, I thought, okay, they're just going to completely do away with anything to do with instruments, but they still had instruments, and there was times in that album where they sounded like themselves, and this was one of the songs. I think it's one of the, even though the chorus is like, oh, Thought Contagion, I do like the whole you've been bit by, or you've been hit by, whatever it is. I just like the whole 80s nostalgia feel, the sci-fi feel to it. It's got a nice ring to it, and that's why I thought I thought it was the lead-off single. People keep saying it's Dig Down, but I thought Thought Contagion was the lead-off single. But as one of the first singles for the album, I was like, okay, maybe this album won't be as bad as I thought it was. And yeah, it's one of the ones on the album that I do keep going back and listening to. We're going right back to Simulation Theory. Muse, Break It To Me, the 5th track on the album. This is one of the songs that definitely surprised me. Once I heard that opening riff, that down, I was like, wow, that is funky, that is great. And then I like the whole little whispered, break it to me, points in the song. You can definitely tell this was produced by Timbaland, because as ARTV said, and I do agree, it sounds a lot like Justin Timberlake's Filthy, but the thing with Justin Timberlake's Filthy was it didn't really catch my attention. There wasn't a beat or anything that caught my attention. This one, like I said, that one riff and the whole, I guess you can call it chorus, was really nice. And I did like that little warped sound that Matt Bellamy did with his voice in that song. I'm usually not a fan of that, but that actually fit. I felt like I was listening to some 80s song or 80s musical movie that featured something like that. It was cool, it was funky, just something that I enjoy, and I have not gotten it out of my head since I have listened to the album. I keep going back to it because I just love the thing.
East is up, I'm fearless when I hear this on the low. East is up, I'm careless when I wear my rebel clothes. East is up, when bishops come together they will know that Dima don't control us.
Number 13, Gotta Show Some Love to 21 Pilots. Their new album, Trench, may have been a little bit not as good as I thought it was going to be. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, which is still a good rating, don't get me wrong, but, I just felt like there wasn't a lot of memorable songs on there outside of the singles right now. But Nico and the Niners was the second single released, one of the first ones released back in, was it August? No, it might have been July. I can't remember specifically when. And I remember being instantly attached because this did sound like something that would have been on Blurryface. You get the cool reggae feel and just some catchy lyrics. East is up, I'm fearless when I hear this on the low. The chorus is catchy. You get the rapping vocals by, why did I lose his name? Tyler Joseph, who just does a fantastic job again. The drums, I like the little drum beats that Josh Dunn pulls out in this song. It was one of the ones that a lot of people said was the worst on the album, which is one that I don't know why, like I said, because it's not the first time they've done a song like that before. But to me, it's just catchy, and after first listen, that one got stuck in my head more than Jumpsuit, and that's why this one's on here. So yeah, it gets all the credit in the world. It was a great song, a great comeback for the band. I didn't mention, there is a rule. If it came out anywhere in December, or if it was, well, that's for albums, but if it came out on an album in 2017, but wasn't made a single until 2018, it is eligible to make this list, because even though it came out on an album a year before, it was made a single in 2018 and grew popularity in 2018. That's why Rose Colored Boy by Paramore is on here. It was one of the first non-singles on the album, but I thought it was going to be a single. I was like, this should be a single, and it was. That I actually enjoyed on the album. Hard Times, Told You So were good, but this was like the only and first non-single off that album where I'm like, this is going to be something. I would be surprised if it wasn't. The whole feeling of, I like the music video idea. Them being news reporters having to fake being happy on TV, and then when they're not on TV, they're depressed, shit's going on, you know, and it's one of those things that we can all relate to, because we all have bad days, bad months, bad years, where we're just like, you know, fuck, I feel bad, but I don't want to let the other people around me down, so I just got to put on a smile, a fake smile everywhere I go. And yeah, it just has that catchiness. I love the guitar beats, I love the drum beats. Hayley Williams singing is nice. So yeah, this qualifies for the list because of that reason, and it's still a good song in 2018.
I hope the roof flies off and we keep blowing out into space. I always make such a sense in the same. I know it's just a number, but you're the eighth wonder. I'll stop wearing black when they make a darker color.
Number 11, showing some love to this album back here. Wilson Expensive Mistakes was the last single released before the album was. And I remember being like, this is the closest we're going to get to them, I think, hearing them being a band. Well, not being a band. They're being close to their older stuff. Patrick Stump's vocals are amazing. It's another one of those catchy-ass songs. You know, it's got a nice beat and a nice bass line that people don't recognize by Pete Wentz. There's a bass line at the beginning. You know, it's got that nostalgia feel. I love it. It's got a creative music video, funny music video as it is, and it's another movie reference. Wilson, you know, the volleyball from Castaway. Yeah, that's what they're referring to. You'll see it. You would see it in the music video. But yeah, just to me, it's the best song off of Mania, and it's one that I keep going back to, even 10 months after the song was released. It's awesome.
Tell them take an IOU. Say they won't respect now, thinking they deserve to have it next now. Tell them take an IOU. Believe in what they're making up, talking loud but never really saying much. Tell them take an IOU. I've been drawing plans out and they think of you.
Now getting in the top 10 with some Mike Shinoda with IOU, one of my favorite rap songs of the year. For some reason, angry Mike Shinoda seems to be better than me. Like, I feel like majority of his album was great. I gave his album a 7 out of 10. People freaked out. I was like, you know, there's some elements that could have been better. But IOU was just one that had a tough beat. He was just spitting out lyrics, and, you know, he was just all up in your face. And I liked that. And it's a shorter song, one that he hasn't made a music video for yet. He's made music video for like 9 or 10 of the 16 songs on the album, but I would definitely say that this was my favorite on the album. There's plenty of good songs on that album, but this one, definitely, when I first heard it, I was like, man, he is really pissed off. He really wants us to know that he is angry, and he does a job. Not gonna lie, he does a job. So yeah, good on you, Mike, and we'll back off a little bit.
Let me explain just how to make greatness straight out the gate. I'm about to break you down. Ain't no mistakes allowed. I make no mistake. I'm about to rape the alphabet. I make plays some rounds. If I press the issue just to get the angle out. Full magazine can take staples out. Savage that ain't thinking about no bank account.
Number 9, a lot of great lead-offs to albums. Eminem's The Ringer, which is kind of like a 5.5 minute diss track at the beginning, because it really doesn't have a hook to it. There's no hook. It's just Eminem going off, and I don't know if he's freestyling or he wrote lyrics for it beforehand, but he's definitely doing something, and it works out. You know, the beat may not be that strong, but it carries, and it does a good job of carrying. And then Eminem with his creative lyricism is great, going after the media, you know, saying, you know, how, you know, it's not my fault that you don't get what I mean in my album or my last album. So, you know, and the fact that all you have to do is sit in front of a camera and give your opinion and you get views off of it is kind of despicable, which hurt me a bit because I do that. Only difference is I don't get paid like the others do, but it still hurt me a little bit. But I'm like, doesn't matter. This song's great. I don't really do this for a living, so what the fuck do I care? And it goes right into the next song perfectly. So yeah, it's definitely one that can count as a diss track, and it's a great one.
One ear right out the other one, 'cause all you ever do is chant the same old
Mantra.
Number 8 is Bring Me the Horizon with Mantra. This is the first single they released for their upcoming album coming out in January of 2019. Ammo. I told you before, the first 2 albums, maybe 3 albums, I really don't care for that much from Bring Me the Horizon. I think their third album, There Was a Hell's okay, but I was never, I was never a big fan of the metalcore, deathcore thing, and that was what they did the first 2 albums, and they don't do any songs off of those 2 albums live anyway, so they kind of want you to forget about it too. And there's only one song they do from There Is a Hell. The rest of the stuff they're doing is from Ammo, That's the Spirit, and Sempiternal, which I did like those 2 albums that came before what is going to be Ammo. It's just a song that goes hard. It's them doing alternative metal at its best. I do like the little, I guess it's like Siri thing where it's like the same old and it's like mantra is what you get. It's pretty cool, just heavy hitting. It is still a heavy song. People say they're not heavy anymore, but they still have their heavy songs from Sempiternal to now. And yeah, this might be one of my favorites on the new album coming up, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Oh, it's Saturday night. I pray for the wicked on the weekend. Mama, can I get another amen? Oh, it's Saturday night. Swear to God.
Panic at the Disco came in at 19, they're coming in at 7. This time with Say Amen Saturday Night. This was the first single for their new album, Pray for the Wicked. And I was pretty impressed because I'm like, yeah, okay, it sounds like they're carrying over the sound they did from Death of a Bachelor. It's fine, it's cool. And it seemed to be a prequel to their song, This Is Gospel from Too Weird, Too Rare. And once again, Brendan Urie's vocals just skyrocket. They're fantastic, especially at the end when he hits those high notes. I cannot do that. Now, granted, in the music video, he gets kicked in the nuts. That would probably be the only time you'd hear my voice go that high, but he did that in a studio and had to lip sync it during the music video. So he can just do that on command. But yeah, it just holds a good beat, very catchy. I like the chorus, how it just, brings it up a notch and just does everything right. And it's going to be a great live staple for a long, long time, it seems.
Sipping on straight chlorine, let the vibe slide over me. This beat is a chemical, beat is a chemical. When I leave, don't save my seat. I'll be back when it's all gone.
Number 6 is one of the most catchiest, most just sticky choruses I've ever heard. Sticky? That's bad. It's a great chorus. Chlorine by 21 Pilots. I remember first hearing this song, I'm like, wow, this is just, it hooks me in, it brings me in there. Even though the verses might not be that good until you get to the rapping part in the end, that chorus, you're going to hear me say that a lot for this minute, so whatever it's going to be for this song review, but it is just, it's awesome. I like the drum beats by Josh Dunn. It's just so infectious, and it's become a fan favorite. Wouldn't be surprised if with Morph, if it became one of the other singles for this album, either the 5th or 6th single for the album. It's just one that shouldn't go unrecognized. Hopefully it doesn't, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Infrared, I know that you're burning up for me. Fire in your bloodstream, moving through you at light speed.
Number 5 is Infrared by 3 Days Grace. The Mountain kind of got old after a while, but Infrared does give me that, this sounds like old 3 Days Grace sound to me. Just with the guitar riff, and some of the vocals, I find it intriguing and very good. It was one of the good songs off of their new album, which I didn't really like that much. I think I gave it like a 6 out of 10, which is okay, but it wasn't like fantastic. But ever since Adam Godche left, it hasn't been really the same, in my opinion. So, you can take that as it is. But I think their first 3 albums, even their first 4 albums, are unbeatable than their past 2. But yeah, it's just one that takes me back and feels like a throwback. It's awesome. It's like, this is what I want to hear from them. Those great guitar riffs, simple but great, and that's what I like about this song. It's got great moments.
Take it easy for a little
And now showing some love to the third album that's behind me, if you haven't noticed. These are three of my favorite albums of 2018. The only three albums of 2018 I have on vinyl, so hopefully we'll have more. But anyway, 4 out of 5 by the Arctic Monkeys off of their album Tranquility Base Hotel and Casinos. A big turn from a sound we were used to them doing for a more David Bowie-esque, space rock-esque kind of feeling. And the whole album was good. This song in particular was one that did catch my eye, and it was made the first single, and I wasn't surprised. Just lyric-wise, it's weird, but it suffices, and you can't just help but sing along to that infectious chorus as well. And I think some of the instruments are cool. I like the little bass line. I think the simple drums just fit the song. It's one of those ones where they didn't have to do much. You know, it was just driven by these simple instrumentals and decent vocals, these David Bowie-like vocals, and I think that's what makes it great, is it reminds you a lot of that with a little bit of Arctic Monkeys twist on it. So this is definitely a great job for a band that I followed but wasn't big on, but this is definitely one that has gotten me more attached and more interested in the band. Number 3, back to this album, Miracle by Chvrches is basically the last great part of the album. The first 7 songs on the album are where it's at. 8 through 13 get a little sketchy, but Miracle is one of those ones, in my opinion, that should have finished off the album just because of the way it ends. It's them doing kind of more of an alternative rock sound, really, especially when you get to the chorus, when Lauren Mayberry says, "When you feel it, could you let me know?" And then you just hear the drums in there, the drum machines, the synths. It's like, wow. And I like the little, kind of like the Muse song, Break It To Me, the little voice modulation they do to Lauren Mayberry's vocals during the pre-chorus, right before we get there. It's short, it's catchy, and to me it's a bopper. I love when Chvrches does this more alternative rock sound. They've done soft rock songs before, but I like when they go harder and heavier, I guess you can say, in their music, because then it just makes you go, wow, they can intimidate us, not just with soft pop music, but with heavier sounding alternative rock. It was great. It was decent. Number 2 is Greatest by Eminem off of Kamikaze. This was the first one on the album. I remember just being like, oh, yeah, that beat is something else. The chorus, once again, might be a little sketchy. I mean, I'm the greatest in the world, I feel like the best to ever do it. And then he says, woke up to honky sounding like me. Okay, but, you know, I can't argue with those verses. I like how he kind of gives like a shout out to Kendrick Lamar when he says Revival didn't go viral. We all know he's a fan of Kendrick Lamar. I'm a fan of Kendrick Lamar. And he kind of just disses all the other rappers, where he's just saying, like, you know, he talks about how he's like, I don't hate trap, I don't want to sound that way, but there are some trap artists that just, the fact that you can mumble your way through a song, no one can understand you, it's just weird. So, yeah, it's one that, it's once again a diss track, but I guess Kamikaze itself is just a diss album, but it does its job, keeps me entertained, and I've been going back to it non-stop since. So, like we did with the 10 worst songs of 2018, we have 5 honorable mentions this time that barely missed the list. I'm just going to go through the 5 rapid fire right before we get to number 1. So let's just get it started with the first of the honorable mentions.
Just to make you comfortable. Enough to make
Hailstorm Uncomfortable is just up in your face saying, you don't like what I do? Well, fuck you. I like making people uncomfortable. Lizzie Hale comes out and just does her thing, and the whole band does their thing. It was a stellar comeback for Hailstorm, whose last album was kind of at best, whereas Vicious was a nice return to form, and this one definitely definitely suffices for just being an anthem for anybody you hate in your life.
Rolling down a mountain. My shoulder holds the weight of the world.
Boarding House Reach was very experimental, but this one made me think of the White Stripes, although less drums, more guitar driven. But yeah, I think that's why I liked Over and Over and Over so much, was because it just had that feeling of White Stripes. And, you know, Jack White shows off his guitar talent. It's just, it's great.
Can't knock the hustle. Can't knock the hustle. Leave a 5-star review and I'll leave you one.
Even though we're not getting the Black Album this year, I can at least say we got this snippet, Can't Knock the Hustle from Weezer. I liked it, not a lot of fans did. I liked the funk aspect, and even the whole Hispanic thing was fine with me. The Hasta Luego Adios fits and makes the song even catchier. So, excited to see what the Black Album brings. Hopefully it's good. I don't know. We'll have to wait till next year whenever they decide to release it. But for now, we got this song, and it's nice.
'Cause it's about to get heavy. It's about to be on. Yeah, banging, slinging napalm. So nobody move. 'Cause I was sent to.
I might have fell off. I'm back on that pole like the cowboy. So y'all gotta move, yeah. Y'all gotta move, yeah. Y'all gotta move. Give me some room. Give me some room. Give me the juice. How about the coupe? How about the coupe? How about the shoot? Y'all gotta move. Y'all gotta move. Give me the juice.
Eminem and Joyner Lucas come together to destroy mumble rap, and they do a fantastic job of it. Not just mumble rap, but SoundCloud rap, some trap rap, and just other rappers individually in itself. And he's also bashing the Grammys, saying, you know, all these years I've won a Grammy, and I sold my soul to get it, telling how much he hates the Grammys and is never going back. It's just catchiness, and you just kind of... It's Eminem being savage. I never thought I'd say it, but it is. That's what it is. So with the honorable mentions out of the way, let's check out what my number one song of 2018 is.
Give it a 3, I'm gonna tell you what I do, what I get, what I'm mine. One more, what I get, give me the name. Are you shining front, you never will through the game. You hold all the keys, so the chain shouldn't hold you. I know you heard me, I'll fucking tell you. All this not me down.
Holy shit, I thought 21 Pilots came back with a bang. Slipknot up to the volume to 11 and gave us All Out Life and reminded us a lot of older Slipknot. Now they've experimented a lot since their, I think, 2008 album. This is their first single they've released in 4 years, and beginning of next year, it'll be the first time in 5 years that they release an album with new material. As we've known, Corey Taylor's been working with Stone Sour, but this song just goes after the music industry. As it says, old does not mean dead, and good does not mean new, going after how people say, oh, well, this music's old and outdated, so it's not good. You know, this song, just because it came out now, is good. He's saying that's not the case. We should all praise old music, as well as we should like new stuff, but we shouldn't just completely wipe the old stuff out of existence, and that's something I 100% agree on. I'm a classic guy myself. I like to go back and listen to some oldies that I enjoy, and Corey Taylor does himself, apparently. The new Masks don't really intimidate me that much, but hell, this song, man, goes all out. So yeah, that does it for my top 20 favorite songs of 2018. Once again, keep in mind this is my personal opinion, and just for a side note, I'm filming this a couple weeks before Thanksgiving because I'm going to work on it because it might take me a while, but this will be out the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so look for that. Anyway, tell me in the comments below what were some of your favorite songs of 2018, which songs do you disagree with me on here, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Please remember to like and subscribe, if you're on Facebook, share, and I will catch you guys next time.